Alright guys, I'm not going to waste your time with a long intro. This guide is meant to cover all aspects of Rivals movement, including the basics to the most advanced techs in the game. So whether you're a brand new player or an R10 like me, there is something that you can learn from this video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so we're first going to start by going over the easier movement techs, and then later in the video going over the more advanced movement techs that you can do. The first thing we're going to go over is one of the easiest things that you can do in Rivals to improve your movement, and it's called slide jumping. If you aren't familiar with slide jumping, essentially what it is sliding and then jumping in a quick succession. Whenever you do it, it'll look like this. You just want to do a quick slide and then a jump right after. And then you can do them in succession and it'll make you move a lot quicker around the map or wherever you might be. The next thing we're going to go over is the ramp jump. Essentially what you want to do is take the same principles that you learned from slide jumping and then do it on a ramp. Whenever you do a quick slide jump on a ramp, it gives you a lot more vertical height, which is useful for maybe getting off angles on opponents or getting into higher places that you wouldn't be able to access otherwise. The next thing we're going to learn is also related to the ramp, and it's called the ramp glide. Essentially what you want to do is also do a slide jump, but you don't want to do it on the ramp. You want to do it right at the bottom of the ramp while moving forward, and if you do it right, you'll glide up the ramp. And it gives you a lot more horizontal movement, which can be useful for getting into other places that your opponents might not be expecting, or it's useful for combining other techs later in this video that you'll see. The last basic ramp tech we're going to go over is called the ramp super jump. Essentially what you want to do is you want to get on the edge of the ramp. You kind of want to slide a little bit while clipping into the ramp, and it'll go a little higher. This one's a little bit more difficult to do, but it's not as hard as it looks. Whenever you do it, you just want to slide and then jump up, and you go higher than you would if you did a normal ramp jump. Last thing we're going to cover with the basic movement techs is something called a long slide. Essentially what a long slide is whenever you're on an elevated surface and you slide off of it, you go much further than you would if you were to just slide normally on the ground. This tech is applicable to all surfaces that are elevated, so if you're higher up and you slide down, you're going to go much further regardless. It works on ramps, it works on windows. If I was all the way up here, it would also work the same exact way. The next category that we're going to go over is weapon-based movement. A lot of the weapons in Rivals give you some kind of movement, and it's useful to apply these when you're playing your games to get into spots that your opponents might not be expecting. The first thing we're going to go over is something called a quick melee or quick ability. In order to do a quick ability, you want to press the quick melee keybind, and in a quick succession, also press the button that relates to your weapon's ability. So in my case, it's the scythe with a scythe dash. You want to press quick melee and then right click right after, and you'll do a quick dash while still being able to pull your weapon out much quicker at the end. Quick meleeing also applies to every single melee in the game that has the ability. So like a fist, you can double jump with the fist whenever you quick melee, or even weapons like the katana, you can quick block with the katana using the quick melee ability. Most weapons in Rivals offer some kind of movement boost, and combining these techs can give you big advantages. I'll show you some of the best combos that you can be using and how to use them to the fullest potential. One of the most common forms of weapon movement combos is the chainsaw and warhorn combo. This gives you a lot of speed, and if paired with other movement techs, it can be really efficient. Firstly, I'll just show you what it looks like normally. What you want to do is to pull your chainsaw out, and then after the chainsaw's out, press your quick utility keybind, for me it's G, which gives you the warhorn boost, and from here you can right click with the chainsaw and you go super duper fast. Pairing it with things like slide jumping makes it even more efficient. Another commonly used weapon movement combo is an explosive boost into a double jump. I'm going to demonstrate it using the grenade and the fist, but it also works by using weapons like the RPG and the daggers if you wanted to. What you want to do is to get the explosive boost, and while you're in the air, also double jump, and it lets you get more air time while also keeping momentum. There are also a lot of weapon movement combos that you can combine with movement techs. For example, the chainsaw and warhorn tech that I showed you can be applied to a lot of the ramp jump techs I showed you. Whenever you use the chainsaw's ability and then the warhorn's ability, and I do a ramp glide, you go really far, and this is really useful for catching your opponents off guard with the speed. And that covers the weapon movement section of the movement guide. Now we're going to go over map-specific movement techs that you'll see on commonly played maps. The first map that we're going to start with is Arena. A lot of the ramp techs that I showed you at the beginning of the video are applicable on Arena, but today I'm going to show you some different techs. The first tech you've probably never heard of is the window jump. Essentially what you want to do is get inside of the window, and then you want to bounce your head on the window, and whenever you land, jump out to the side, and it'll give you enough vertical momentum to get on top of the window. It looks something like this. It's a little hard to get down, but whenever you can learn it, it's a really useful tool, especially in the default loadout game mode, in order to get into spots that your opponents might not be expecting. The next tech that we're going to go over is what most people call the Binkletone tech or the Binkletone rollout. I'm going to first do the tech and then I'm going to explain it to you guys step by step so you guys can learn how to do it yourselves. The first step you want to do for this tech is just to have your grenade out. The second step is to start holding your grenade and then running to the window. The third step is while you're in the window, when the grenade is about to pop, you want to jump out. While you're getting the momentum from the grenade pushing you backwards, you want to hold crouch whenever you're behind the wall so it slows you down just enough that you can double jump off the ramp and get the boost. A similar principle to the ramp glide that I showed you earlier, except you're using the double jump to get the boost instead of doing just the slide jump off the ramp. It works the same way, but it's just a different way to do it. This tech is pretty difficult to learn, so don't expect to get it on your first try. But whenever you guys do learn it, it is a really useful tool to catch your enemies off guard. Next tech we're going to go over is something called slide strafing. Essentially what slide strafing is sliding between the pillars on arena quickly to catch your enemies off guard. What you want to do a slide strafe properly is whenever you slide to the next pillar, you want to press jump as you're about to hit it, so your slide cancels and you can do the next slide much quicker. Whenever you can get down doing the short slide jumps between the pillars, then you've learned how to do a slide strafe. It takes a little bit to get down, but whenever you can, it's pretty easy and it's really useful, especially whenever you're taking gunfights, for example, on the ramp. If I'm just doing this between these pillars while shooting at my opponent, it'll be really difficult for them to shoot me, and in turn, I'll get a free kill. The next tech that we're going to go over is something called the wall ride. It takes similar principles from the long slide and applies them while sliding against a wall. What you want to do for this tech is get on top of the ramp on arena, and whenever you slide, you want to slide into the wall so that whenever you're sliding, your body gets momentum by sliding off of the wall. Whenever you properly do it, it'll look like this. It's useful for traveling further distances without making as much noise. And this tech is also applicable on maps that have these kinds of walls that you can ride on, but it's most useful on arena as this map has the easiest to do wall ride. The next tech for arena is something called the jump pad boost. For this tech, what you want to do is place your jump pad in a spot like here or maybe here. Whenever you do it, it'll give you a lot of speed boost off of this ramp. It'll look something like this. You can also pair it with a double jump like from the bow or the fist to get even more boost. It's useful for getting a lot more vertical and horizontal movement, and it applies similarly to how the chainsaw horn tech works, but this requires less steps. Alright, that's it for arena. Now we're going to move on to docks. The next tech we're going to go over is something called the ledge super jump. This tech is a little difficult to get down, and I'll do my best to explain it, but it's up to you guys to learn how to do this properly. What you want to do is to get on a ledge on one of these roofs where you can kind of slide to a spot underneath a ramp. You don't want to slide into it, but you want to slide towards it. Whenever you do this, you want to try the jump at the last second before it would look like you're going to hit the wall. Whenever you do it, it'll look like you're underneath the ramp for a split second, and then it'll shoot you straight up into the air. This tech is applicable on a lot of spots on this map. This is one of the common spots that you'll see people doing it. You can also do it in spots like this. You can also do it from the yellow building to the white building. The next tech we're going to go over is something called the roof slide. What you want to do for this is to get some form of explosive movement where you can get onto one of these roofs. Before you hit the roof, you want to double jump. It'll send you flying off of the edge while you glide off of it, similar to the Binkletone tech. And it's pretty useful for getting into spots across the map quickly, and especially in DL game modes, it's really useful. It works on a few spots on this map, so I'll show you the common spots that you'll see people doing this. Next thing I'm going to go over is something called a window clip. It requires you to nay jump inside of the white building through the window without losing momentum, which sounds a little hard because you're thinking, well, what if I nay jump into the window and I don't keep my momentum? You're just going to hit the window and stop moving, which is right, except there's a tech for that that allows you to fly straight through the window without ever hitting it. In order to do this tech, while you're nay jumping, you want to hold crouch, and right before you're about to hit the window, you want to uncrouch and double jump. It's a little weird to explain, but it'll look a little bit like this. So whenever you do that tech, you want to do it really quickly. It takes a little bit to learn, but it's really useful for getting into the white building really quickly. I'll show you what the actual tech looks like right now. It also works if you nay jump into the opposite side of white building from the white spawn. Next thing we're going to go over is something called precise object jumps. There are a few objects around the map on docks that you can use to give you a vertical boost. To do it with an object like the cone, you want to run onto the cone. Whenever you see yourself get slightly pushed up on the cone, you want to do a very quick slide jump and it'll give you a lot of vertical height. This can also be done on the rails around the map, which is much harder to do, but it is possible. There are plenty of spots on docks that have these cones that you can do these on, and it also works on legacy docks, so you guys can try it out on that map as well. Alright, that is the end of the movement guide. I am going to go over my settings before the video ends because I've had a lot of you guys ask me for them. Right now, I'm using 0.11 sensitivity in Roblox at 1600 DPI. Here are my current rival settings. I'm running 0.2 sensitivity, 0.3 camera zoom, and 90 FOV. Right now, my crosshair is a black dot. And here are my keybinds. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.